Hey, everybody. I am recording this on Monday, the 12th. You're going to hear this Tuesday of next week, but I wanted to just make a quick note. We're here in New York today for the Webby Awards tonight, and I wanted to take a moment on behalf of myself and of our absolutely amazing production team, Whitney, Joey, Riley, Ben, David. I just wanted to take a moment to thank them for the work they did that made this podcast an award winner tonight for the Webbies for National News and Politics. It is a tremendous honor, and I can't do it without them. They are amazing folks, and I value and treasure them each and every one. We are in a moment right now where this fight in this space, politics is being waged differently than it's ever been before. It used to be about the campaigns and about a 90-day sprint to an election, and now it's about a constant conversation. It's about an exchange of ideas and information and motivations and communication between people that wasn't possible before, and it is now. I just want to say, again, personally, I am so deeply honored for the support of the folks who voted for us in this in the podcast category and in the advertising category. We won in both areas. I'm absolutely stunned by it, and I'm absolutely honored by your friendship and support. And I hope you'll stay engaged with us as we go forward. This fight ahead is going to take all the tools in the toolbox. It's going to take politics. It's going to take this new media space that we're in, where we can communicate honestly and openly with one another in a way that isn't mediated just by, Fox dominates one side and mainstream media dominates another. That's not the world anymore. We have to make our own messaging. We have to make our own media. We have to make our own spaces like this. And I'm so honored by the response, both in your support for this short-term thing in the award, but also in the big picture of you've made the Lincoln Project podcast one of the fastest growing and biggest political podcasts in the country. We're just absolutely honored. You can check out more of our stuff over at Lincoln Square. You can check out more of our stuff at the Lincoln Project. You can check me out on Substack as well. But I just wanted to, like I said, I just had to thank my team one more time on this and to thank all of you for all of your support. It's been absolutely remarkable, and it means more than I can express to you. Thanks again.
Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America.
Good night, and good luck.
Hey, everybody, it's Rick Wilson, your host, as always, here on the Lincoln Project podcast. I'm traveling this week. I'm up in New York recording this just before the Webby Awards, which the Lincoln Project is very honored to be receiving a couple of Webby Awards, not only for this podcast, but also for some of our advertising. But I am even more delighted to be joined today by Aaron Rouse, who is an all-around good guy, who has become a real superstar in Virginia politics this year. He is running for lieutenant governor. You got Abigail Spanberger up at the top of the ticket, and Aaron is a guy who comes off the playing field of the NFL, but jumped into public service in a way that has been humble and dedicated. And I'm thrilled to have him on today because he really is a guy who has taken this mission to heart. He's the kind of Democrat I think we need a lot more of, who talks to folks where they are. So, Aaron, thank you so much for coming on the Lincoln Project podcast today. And before we get started on the politics of the day, tell folks a little bit about where you came from and what led you to get into public service.
Thanks, Rick. And thanks for having me on. For me, I never would have thought in a million years I would be in public service, just by simply how I grew up. I'm from 757, as athletes like to say. But that's in Norfolk, Virginia. Was born and raised in Norfolk and raised in Virginia Beach as well. My mother raised 4 of us by herself. I have older twin sisters. Their birthday is on Christmas Day, but that's a whole nother story. My birthday is on January the 8th, and I have a baby brother who pretty much got away with everything. My dad was pretty much in jail our whole lives. And it was my grandparents who helped take care of us. My grandmother, she cleaned houses in the city of Virginia Beach for quite a while until she got diagnosed with breast cancer. And then she died at the young age of 49. And when my grandmother died at 49, my grandfather, who, I mean, he was just a mountain of a man, was from Hertford County, North Carolina. He was born in 1918. He lived through the Jim Crow South. He lived through the first Great Depression. And he came to me, I was about 10 years old. He said, "You're the man of the house." And he put a lawnmower in my hand and he said, "I'm gonna give you 3 important principles to live by." He said, "Keep God first, work for everything that you want, and your word is your bond." And from that point on, I've been working. I've been working to stay out of trouble, to stay not join any gangs, stay off the streets. My mother most important thing was to just graduate from high school. Graduate from high school. We couldn't afford college. It wasn't even something like we talked about. Just so happened the good Lord blessed me with athletic ability, and I was able to turn that to a full scholarship to Virginia Tech.
Well, you played ball, but after that, unlike a lot of folks from sports, you didn't just, you know, cash in and sit by the pool. You decided to jump right in. You're in the Virginia State Senate. Talk to us about the way that leadership has worked for you. What did you learn on the field that has helped you lead now that you are in the legislative side of things?
Yeah, so I think a lot of what I've learned and how I matured came from playing in college at Virginia Tech. And shout out to Coach Pryor and the Hokies, wishing them well going into this summer session all season. But for me, it was maturity. You know, my freshman year in college, I had a son my freshman year in college, and so I was a first generation college student. And then I found out my high school sweetheart and I were going to have a kid. And so I remember having to talk to Coach Beamer, and I said, "Listen, Coach, I can't stay here during the spring as most athletes stay, football players stay to get acclimated to college life. I'm going to go home to take care of my family because I'm going to be a better father to my son than my dad ever was to our family." And so I came home and got a job working concrete, working in construction. And working in concrete construction is hard work, especially in Virginia and the humidity. So I learned how to use tobacco, wheelbarrow, malls, you name it. I knew how to do it. And so I returned to school in the fall, and to a lot of the coaches' surprise, wow, he's back, you know, and he's in shape. And I go, "Yeah, I was lifting concrete the whole summer." But I remember, you know, Coach Beamer and Coach Mike Gentry, who was our strength and conditioning coach. They were all surprised I was back. I was in shape. And I remember telling them, I said, "Listen, my grandfather instilled in me at 10 years old, you know, you are your word. You're a man of your word. Your word is your bond." And so me telling you all that I was going to come back, that was my word. But more importantly, I was more afraid of my mom than I was of disappointing Coach Craig Beamer and them. And so my college career consisted of being a full-time student, a dad, and an athlete. And then 2 years later, remember that my younger brother who I spoke about? Well,
Mhm.
he graduated from high school. He didn't have any plans, and I refused to lose him to the streets. And so I said, "Hey, you come stay with me in college." So I was looking out for my younger brother in college as well. And my younger brother, he had the greatest college experience ever. He didn't have any classes, but yeah, he had full access to the football program. He was all over the place. Um, but it came a time, you know, Rick, where I had to sit him down and say, "You're going to be a man one day, and you're going to have to stand up on your own 2 feet. And so, what is it you want to do?" And he came home and got a job he got certified in HVAC and plumbing. And now he's been in that industry over 20 years. And ironically, tonight, we get to go celebrate him because he just got nominated for top 40 under 40 in our Commonwealth. And so
Amazing.
understanding, you know, my plight in college, I graduated before being drafted, played 4 years in the NFL. I got into a bad car accident. I couldn't play anymore. And then I got invited to go to Richmond. It was lobby day. Well, a good friend of our family, it was lobby day, and I got a chance to go to Richmond, and the light bulb went off, right? My degree is in sociology, and I'll never forget one of the most powerful persons I ever had a chance to meet was Nikki Giovanni, and she was one of my college professors. And Nikki Giovanni was a straight shooter, but she also was an activist and leading in human rights, and African American, Black Americans' rights. But Nikki was for every single, human on this planet. And I remember hearing Nikki when I was in the General Assembly, and I was just visiting then. And I remember, oh, wow. So this is why, the resources never filtered down to communities that I grew up in, or this
Right.
is why, education, never really got fully funded, or this is why, the economy is the way it is. And so for me, I took 3 years learning state politics, and I learned from
Okay.
everybody. All right. I learned wherever I could because I understand, knowledge is universal. Wasn't on Democrat side, I was on a Republican side. I wanted to learn the legislative process. And so I learned for 3 years before fully feeling like, okay, now I know what I'm doing. And now I know before running for elected office, because it's too important to be learning on the fly. And now I want to run for public office. And a lot of the elected officials I met at the time were like, okay, what delegate district do you live in? And I go, oh no, I don't want to be up here in the state with you guys. Like, no, I want to run for local office. And they were like, what? You want to run for local office? They were scratching their heads, but you've been up here for 3.5 years. And I was like, well, yeah, I would be no good in Richmond if I could not make a difference at the local office first, where, you know, all politics is local. And for me, I wanted our community to see someone that came from our community that's in this role, right? That's actually
Right.
making a difference. And so that was
And that
more
was in Virginia Beach, right? You went
right.
back and I think I've known a lot of politicians in my life, a lot of candidates in my life who, if they start at the local level, they always have a better understanding of even when they ascend to, a statewide office, they have a better understanding of people because it really is at the local level. It's like, hey, there's a pothole on Maple Street. I got to get you to fill it.
That's
Or
right.
this street light is out. Can you fix this? It's the stuff that makes a difference in people's immediate lives, not that, 30,000-foot stuff all the time.
That's right. That's right. And you are closely to the people, I think for me, and I recognize the fact that I played in the NFL, I get a little bit more of attention. But nowadays, people, they go, not only do they want a picture with a former Packer player or a New York Giants player, but they also go, and by the way, we need this easement that I want to talk to you about in local government, or there's too much
Sure.
sand and the sidewalk hasn't been cleaned off yet. When you guys going to clean it? And I go, okay.
Right,
I
right.
But I ran for this in the city of Virginia Beach, which is a lot of folks don't know. Virginia Beach is the largest city in our
Mhm.
comp, and I garnered the most votes ever in this election. And for me, it was really about getting things done. Right, I really wanted to serve and move our community forward. And so I was able to do some great things in local office. But I think for the most, I guess, important thing was that to show our community that there is a pathway. Like you can aspire to be an elected official or entrepreneur, or even go to NFL or NBA if you want to. But let's take a more realistic approach.
So you then run for in a special election to the state
Mhm.
senate,
Mhm.
where you've been now for a few years. And interestingly to me, and again, this is why I think we need a lot more Democrats like you. You took on a bunch of issues that were about making sure that resources and money and attention came back into places that weren't getting it. In Virginia politics, we all know Northern Virginia is like, it may not be the largest city, but but Northern Virginia gets a vast, amount of attention and resources that go on transportation and education, all these things. But you were trying to rebalance that a little bit when you're in the Senate to sort of make it more equitable across the state. I know that word is a bad word now with Republicans, but to make the spending more equitable into communities that had gotten the short end of the stick for a long
Mhm.
time, right?
Yeah. I think it comes down to making sure we're all on the same team. Bringing that team approach and how we really do politics. I mean, listen, 5 years in Southwest Virginia helped mold me to the man I am today. And so I know when we're in Southwest Virginia and the hard hack of going to work, all right, and putting on your boots, 1 foot at a time, I know about that value of work, but also growing at the Hampton Roads where, we have just as many federal workers as well as independent contractors at Northern Virginia. And we also understand the plight of transportation needs, if you will. And so for me is being one of 40 senators that goes, hey guys, we have to take more of a holistic approach to make sure, because resources are scarce, but let's make sure
Right.
that no one is being left behind because every single person and locality is important. And that's the way I try to govern.
So you're running for lieutenant governor. You're in a state now that has taken a really, really hard economic hit because of DOGE and Elon Musk and these guys, especially in the area, that Virginia Beach area, Hampton Roads area. There have been a lot of federal workers who did valuable stuff for the in our mostly those workers down there in the defense sector.
Hmm.
Northern Virginia has taken a very bad hit as well. Um, has that become an issue in the campaign? I know it's a federal issue on one side, but it really is that this really was like a real hit to the core of a lot of Virginia's economic
Yeah.
power.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real hit to everyday lives. I mean, listen, campaigning is for me is one thing, but just as someone who just want to make sure Virginians and everyday people can keep a roof over their head, can put clothes on their backs, can actually enjoy life instead of just trying to survive. When you see, and that's a difference. I think, most, and I would say most folks, but having that local level experience helps me understand. Listen, too many people are just surviving, not many people are living, right? And so when you have Donald Trump and Elon Musk, just firing federal workers just out the blue, I can't imagine what that's like going, okay, well, I don't get paid again, or do I get paid again? When is my next check coming again? Because my next check, I was going to get caught up on bills, or perhaps I was going to make a payment down, on my son or daughter's braces, or perhaps, I was going to be able to get my daughter's prom dress that's coming up. And for me, it goes back to working construction when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. Man, it was like, if it rained, inclement weather, you don't get paid. So your check is short, right? But your daughter, your son, they still need Pampers. You still got to put gas in the car. And so for me, seeing Donald Trump, Elon Musk do that, I absolutely no way, man. Like I'm fighting back against that. Okay, what can I do at the state level? And so I was able to write a piece of legislation called the Federal Workers Furlough Bill, Independent Contractors Furlough Bill. I'm able to get that bill passed. And what that has attempted to do, if the federal government shuts down, it would try to keep at least our federal workers and independent contractors in their homes until government opens up and allows them to catch up. And so I was trying to fight and find every single resource I can to keep our federal workers, independent contractors in their home. Has it been a campaign issue? I don't know about like campaign issue. It's my issue. As a Virginian
Sure.
issue. I care about that, and I want to make sure folks that aren't losing their jobs just because, some billionaire just comes out of nowhere and says you should cut this, or Trump, who doesn't care, I don't think he cares about is the wealthy. Oh, he don't care about federal workers. So yeah, man, I find that it makes me upset. And so I was like, I'm ready to fight back.
I love it. I mean, there's a lot in what you're saying right now about this getting down and taking care of people rather
Yeah.
than, you know, eh, what Elon Musk wants out of the blue one day. I'm curious. Virginia Republicans for a long time did not look exactly like national MAGA style Republicans, but increasingly it seems like that they want to make the campaign about immigrants and trans issues and stuff that isn't front and center day to day life experience for real people. Y- the folks that are running in the Republican side in Virginia this year, they don't feel as connected in my mind to what's really happening in the state right now, as you and Abigail Spanberger do at the moment, because it feels like you guys are talking in a way Democrats don't always talk, which is about people and
Hmm.
about what's really facing them,
That's right.
and not imaginary like panic about trans or illegal immigrants or whatever.
All right. Well, I think, you see what the other side is doing in their statewide ticket is doing. They are running for the national, accord to get on the national bandwagon, right? Immigration and,
Yeah.
trying to find these really, really cultural war type issues. They run on fear. Whereas, I and my Abigail Spanberger are running on love, but confident love in terms of, listen, we want to make sure folks' families are together, that they can walk down the street without, ICE or someone just pulling them off and sending them to some foreign land without due process. That's un-American. That is undemocratic. That's not the country, we're fighting for. We live in. We're supposed to be living in. And then Virginia is also is like, hey, last time that the world shut down, with COVID, food. People couldn't even put food on their tables, right? Healthcare was an issue, and getting people vaccinated. Now there's a whole nother world of people saying vaccination is a bad thing, and they're not listening to the doctors. I mean, it's how are we actually lowering costs for families? How are we ensuring people have healthcare, that Medicaid will still be around, fighting for Social Security, these issues? Because again, someone who grew up on Medicaid, I understand this is a safety net, not for our most vulnerable communities, but for our society as a whole. And as a sociologist, when you remove, safety, you remove the healthcare, you remove the ability for folks to take care of themselves, to be able to make a living, be able to afford a house, be able to take care of their families, then those pillars of society begin to break down. And then what do you have? Right? You don't have a society no longer. It's just everyone for themselves. And that's not, to me, that's not what the United States stand for. That's not what the Commonwealth of Virginia should be. I will say that, Senate Democrats as well as House Democrats have been putting the needs of people first in Virginia. And we have, whether that's strongly investing in education, whether that's making sure, Medicare and expansion of Medicare that happened in Virginia 2021, make sure that that was possible, ensuring that, folks higher levels of education is funded, that this thing that DEI is just a code word for racism that they want to, eliminate. So, we are actually doing a job of trying to meet people where they are. And I think that is what we have to get back to doing, is meeting people where they are.
Yeah, I think those culture war issues on the Republican side are very powerful, but they're really shallow. I think they're like they provoke a really strong emotional response, but they're not really connected to the lived and real experience of everyday
That's right.
folks, whether
That's
it's
right.
Virginia or anywhere else in the country. And so if you're talking to them where they are, I mean, I've had so many Democrats who said to me, "Oh, we don't know how to go and talk to, those working class voters in Southwest Virginia." And I've always said, and I think you get this intuitively, it's like, yeah, I worked too. I know what you're doing. I get your life. I understand that you're struggling, and I understand sometimes you get pissed off about things you see on the news. But do you want somebody who's going to be in your corner when it comes to you keeping your retirement and your job, or do you want somebody who's going to make you say, "Oh, look, I hate that guy over there"?
That's right. That's right. And I think, when you talking to folks in Southwest Virginia, whether it's Central Virginia or Northampton Roads, my approach is I'm not talking to you as a Democrat. All right. I'm not coming to you saying, I'm a Democrat, and this is why you should be supporting me. No, like, we have to get back. We are Americans. We just have party affiliations. But Democrats is the party who's actually doing something about your needs and issues, whether that's healthcare, the economy, whether that's making sure education. Like, I'm fighting for you, and the fact that Donald Trump is not fighting for you, right? And that's just the facts
Right.
of it. And I think that is what we have to. I think your approach is everything, right? The approach is everything. If I'm going to go and I'm a Democrat, then I don't know. Somebody may climb up and get defensive and not hear anything else I have to say. But when I approach you, hey, I'm just an American, and what Donald Trump is doing is affecting us all. And this is who I think can help solve those issues. What, can you support? That is how we gain ground.
I think that is a really, really smart approach. I mean, and it's an approach that I've begged Democrats to take for years is like, don't talk about your 700-page climate change plan. Talk
Right.
about how you're going to help people keep their jobs and how
That's
their
right.
lives are going to be better and how
That's
you're
right.
going to make sure education funds aren't just sequestered in the richest neighborhoods.
That's right.
Because every kid, and that's one of the things that appeals in those like immigration arguments to some of these Republican voters is they think, well, those people are taking stuff away from my kids and my
Right.
future. It's not true
Right.
by and large, but it hits them. And if you're saying to them like, hey, the real problem in education is not coming from a guy who's here on a work, here to work from
Mhm.
Mexico. It's coming from people in Richmond who are not
That's right.
being fair about how we're putting funds out into the world. Because education, this, everybody knows this. It's the secret weapon.
That's right.
It's the one thing that changes the future for a young kid who comes up in a hard life. It's the
That's
one
right.
thing that can change the future.
That's right.
Um,
I'm a prime example of it. Prime example.
yeah, I mean, it's really inspirational, and it's really, but you also get it. I mean, there's a really powerful thing underneath the politics, and it's the emotion of like, you took those things that your grandfather told you and internalized them as a part of your journey, and that I think is really important. And you know,
Well,
value of
Rick,
hard
also,
work, man.
that's right. And listen, my wife also serves. And so
Yep.
my wife, she's an educator.
Right.
She's a sociologist. She teaches at Tidewater Community College. And so,
Sure.
um, you know, when I ran for the state senate, when Youngkin came and he wanted to take away women's rights, and I was like, absolutely no way. And folks were basically saying in that district that we flipped, he had won that
Yeah.
district by 5 points, right? He won the district
Mhm.
by 5 points. And folks said, Aaron, don't run in that district. Wait till next year because we were getting redistrict. New lines were going to be drawn. And the next year, the lines would be much more favorable, Democratic leaning. And I go,
Right.
absolutely not. Like we don't wait around for things to happen.
That's
We
it.
and we make things happen. And it's like, and if I lose, then so be it, but I'm going to fight back. And we wanted to flip that district. The same time, my wife goes, well, who's going to run for your spot on city council? And I said, well, I don't know. We have to make sure we find someone. And she goes, well, I want to run. And I go, you want to run? I said, babe, when I started out, I had a lot more hair than I do now. And she goes, I promise you, Rick, every single year my hair has gotten longer and longer. Now how,
Yeah. Oh, I feel your pain, brother.
but she said, I want to run. I said, okay. And my wife stepped up and she ran and she said, we made too much progress in the city of Virginia Beach to go backwards, and she really wants to serve. And that is where we're talking to young folks as well, because to your issue of people don't realize the process in terms of civics, right? In terms of
Right.
local
Oh no,
government,
for sure.
state government, daily rule state, federal government. Like civic responsibility is so important. And we have to remind our young folks of their civic duty, really, and their responsibility. And that is something we have tried and we're going, yeah, while the Democratic Party seems to be a lot older of those folks who are in these higher positions, where's the bench? Where's this next generation of future leaders and present leaders that we need? And so we're like, we want to empower them as well and going, no, you all got to step up. You just can't get on TikTok, and social media and do dances. We need for you all to not only vote, but also bring more awareness to your issues by registering
Right.
folks.
And service is something that young people excel at when they are asked to do it.
That's right.
I mean, young leaders bring a vitality and it's in part they don't know everything
Right.
when they get there,
That's
but
right.
but they have a lot of energy and intellectual curiosity, and I think that has been a gap where I think a lot of young people think, oh, I can't go into public service till I'm 40 or whatever, and
Right.
that's just not the
No,
case.
no, not at all. I just turned 41. And
Mhm.
also I think what's important is that, listen, the folks who have come before us, like Senator Louise Lucas, Senator Mamie Locke, former Majority Leader of Virginia, Senator Dick Saslaw,
Mhm.
these folks have so much institutional knowledge, and that is, and I actually lean on them. Hey, what are you thinking? What's going on? Senator Marston, Dave Marston. Hey,
Right.
have you guys seen this before? Or what did you do in this era? And I think that is also where young folks need to kind of humble themselves a bit and go, you know what, I don't know it all. But these folks who have been around the sun, quite a few times, they do. And so can we use that knowledge to move our Commonwealth and our society forward? And that is something that has been, I mean, truly beneficial to me in terms of my effectiveness in our state senate.
Sure.
Here we go, Aaron Rouse.
I'm Senator Aaron Rouse, and I'm not afraid of a fight. After all, I became the deciding vote to defend abortion rights in Virginia and cut taxes for seniors. Now, I'm taking on Trump and Musk, passing a new law to protect federal workers. As Lieutenant Governor, I'll go toe-to-toe to defend Social Security, Medicare, and your wallet. So President Trump, when you come for Virginia, you gotta go through me.
Well, it's going to be this is a race, folks, that's up in 2025. I encourage you to look into it. Nationally, our audience is all over the country. But I know that Aaron's campaign is an important one. We need to clear a lot of hurdles in Virginia, because if we can turn over that governorship and work those majorities in the House and Senate, I think we can put the brakes on a lot of pretty bad stuff. And also, we don't want to live in a world where we just have to put the brakes on the bad stuff. We want to live in a world where guys like Aaron can go out and have a platform to do good work and to put government to work for people in a way that matters. So, Aaron, anything else folks should know about you or your campaign?
Yes, please join Team Rouse today. Go to rouseforvirginia.com. Please sign up. Follow us on X, also on Instagram, Aaron_Rouse. And listen, I'm running for lieutenant governor for every single Virginian in our Commonwealth. I want to make sure every Virginian has an opportunity to live and not just survive in our Commonwealth. And so as a native of Virginia, I want everyone to be on Team Rouse as well. And so please go to rouseforvirginia.com. And Rick, I want to thank you for allowing me to share my story as well and be on your platform.
Happy to do it. So glad to have you on the show today, Aaron. It has been an honor to talk to you. We're going to keep in touch. You really have an amazing political future, in my opinion, and I think you're going to do great in this election. And we'll keep an eye on you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Rick. Thanks so much. Have a great day.